Hi, I'm Stephanie J. Block.
And I'm Mary Lee Fairbanks,
Welcome to Season 3 of Stages Podcast.
where we continue to bring creation and connection to center stage.
I want to be George Washington, the first mother of our country.
Oh.
What? Here comes the general. Here comes the queen.
Rise up.
Today's guest is this year's Tony nominee for Best Featured Actor in a Musical. He made his Broadway debut as Raoul in Phantom of the Opera in 2016. He starred in Lincoln Center's My Fair Lady as Freddie. He was in Hamilton on the tour as Lafayette, and he is now performing on Broadway as Sir Lancelot in Camelot. He previously starred as Jordan Chase on the CW's Charmed and in the award-winning drama Blue Bloods. Please welcome Jordan Donica.
Jordan Donica to stage, please. Jordan, please come to stage.
How
How are you?
What a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for
Oh
taking
my
the time
gosh,
to
we are
come.
so thrilled. I'm on the Instagrams and stuff, but I'm not one to watch the Broadway videos or whatever. But you know how sometimes you're scrolling and you think the audio is off, and then all of a sudden this reel comes up and you're kind of, reeling backwards because the sound pops up. And it was you. This sound that enveloped the room left me with a holy crap moment. Holy crap. Have you always had this tangible sound to you, or was that training?
I would say it's something I pursued. Training.
You know what you wanted to sound like, and you went after that sound.
Yeah. Music is like a first language for me.
Mm.
Singing has always been more comfortable than speaking most of the time. Even when I was a little boy, I remember getting yelled at by my mom once. You can remember every song on the radio, but you can't remember your backpack. I left my backpack at school. I was 5. I was like, oops. But she's right. Like, for whatever reason, there's something about music and songs that has always been the easiest way for me to learn. Like, the only reason I passed school is because of Schoolhouse Rock. Thank you.
Well, is it funny? Are you dyslexic?
Probably.
Yeah.
I have a lot of things.
Yeah,
But,
learning differences, because I'm dyslexic. And back when I was in school in the 70s, there was no such diagnosis. And that was the only way I could learn was through music. I would go home and I would memorize whatever it was I was supposed to memorize, and I'd put it to song, and I would sit at my desk and like sing it in my head so I could take the test, because I could not retain information from books in that way. I still can't. Like, I can only do books on tape, and my son's the same way.
So then I ask this next question. Maybe the, ABCs and 1, 2, 3s are difficult, but emotionally, even as a young child, were you able to be in touch emotionally? Because how music informs our sensibilities in that way, I find my daughter to be very well versed there. I don't think she could articulate why she is so in tune with her emotions, but she and music are similar. There's a relationship there. And so because of that musical relationship, she has a deep relationship with her emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that entirely. And seeing a show, I saw Phantom of the Opera. I had just moved to Indianapolis. My cousin Melissa took me to see Phantom. I was 9 years old. I had started doing theater in the community theater aspect, literally just as a thing to do, because I also played sports, and we moved in the middle of a sports season. So there was no teams for me to join. I remember we would always go see Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at Indianapolis Civic Theater, which is a community theater in Indiana. And they were like, do you still want to go? Even though you guys moved up here, like, we can still go as our family tradition. And I was just like, well, what if I was in it?
Oh.
And they just laughed. They're like, what? Okay, like, that's funny.
Wow.
And I remember going with my aunt. She took me to the audition, and all these kids have books and headshots and resumes and things, and I'm literally just there. This is very on brand for me, probably even today. And she was just like, don't be upset if it doesn't go your way. And I was just like, I don't really care. Like, I'm just going to go and sing a song from the radio a cappella, and then we're going to go have dinner. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
And then I saw Phantom. And so I got that. I did that show. And then I saw Phantom, and the Phantom, you hear him before you see him.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being affected, but I also remember looking out at the audience and
Mm.
seeing how affected everybody was. Like the
Mm.
type of thing that makes you just go like lean in a little bit.
And you were like, what's that power? I
Yeah.
want that
And
power.
I turned to my cousin, I said, I'm gonna do that one day. And I wanted to learn how to do that. And so I started taking voice lessons when I was 10. That teacher, I don't want to say he quit on me, but he quit on me.
Okay.
And then I found another teacher when I was about 11 and a half years old, Miss Elaine Wagner. And I studied with her until I went to college. And then I studied with my college professors as well. But anytime I went back to Indiana, I would always see her.
That's
She's amazing.
amazing. So to
That's
be
pretty
sitting in that
fearless.
audience as a little kid, and then that's your Broadway debut show. Like, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
that was
right?
wild. That
That's
was wild.
crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Talk about dreams coming true. It was hard to do research on you because you don't have a social media presence. So I really do want to talk a little about that. But I did read that you were raised by women and you attribute a lot of your success to being raised by women. Is that right? Can you talk a little about that? Like,
I was just saying, one of my favorite poets is Gil Scott Heron, and he has a poem called "Broken slash
Mhm.
Guide," and it's a whole poem about this idea of broken homes. Like they say, I come from a broken home.
Mm.
Do you mind if I read it for you, actually?
Oh, we
No,
would
I
love
would
that.
love
Are you
it.
kidding?
Because it captures everything that I feel about my family. And so my life has been guided, all the love I needed provided. And though my mother's sacrifice, and through my mother's sacrifices, I saw where her life went to give more than birth to me, but life to me. This ain't a cliche about Black women being strong, because hell, if you're weak, you're gone. But life, courage, determined to do more than just survive. And too many homes have a missing woman or man without the feeling of missing love. Maybe they are homes that hurt, but there are no real lives that hurt without reach, but not broken. Unless the homes of soldiers stationed overseas or lost in battles are broken. Unless the homes of firemen, policemen, construction workers, seamen, railmen, truckers, pilots who lost their lives, but not what their lives stood for, because men die, men lose, they are lost, and they leave. And so do women. I came
Mm.
from what they called a broken home, but if they ever really called it a house, they would have known how wrong they were. We were working on our lives and our homes, dealing with what we had, not with what we didn't. My life has been guided by women, and because of them, I am a man. I love you, Mama. God bless you, and thank you. It's like my
So
favorite, like that
beautiful.
right there is everything that I also feel about my family. Like, being raised by single women, uh, having kids from different dads, being a child from not a marriage, not having a dad legally. Like, I don't have a dad on my birth certificate or anything. So, not having that kind of relationship, I never felt like I was missing anything. You
Mm.
know, I never felt, yet I live in a world that tells me I am. And yet, when I hang out with people who have all of these things that they say I'm missing, they seem much more
Lost.
lost than I feel.
Mm.
Mm.
That's kind of what my journey has been growing up. And um, yeah, like everyone's story is different, everyone's unique, and I'm honestly thankful for the way I was raised and who I was raised by, and because they've helped me be me and continue to grow. That's the thing as a human being. Like, you don't stop growing, you can't stop growing, and um, you know,
And was it your mom and your grandma or aunties or?
my mom and my all of the above, all of the above. Uh, my mom and my aunt Kathy. My aunt Kathy, I always said, was like a second parent to me. She passed away
I'm sorry.
4 years ago. Thank you, I appreciate that. She was definitely a soulmate of mine for sure.
Hmm.
She was, everything for me, and yeah.
The love being poured into you is one thing. And I think that is the reason why mothers, aunts, fathers, they say yes. And they say, we may not understand, but you say you want to be up there. I'm going to do that for you. Did your mother understand the musicality of you and the fearlessness of you? Does she, when you're on stage now, can you feel that your mama understands who you truly are when you're standing up there? Or is there an awe that she's just like, how is this my son? How did we get here? This is so wild.
I think both. I
Yeah.
think both things exist. I think she has a separation now, not a separation, but I remember when I was 18, I did Rent, a young adult production of Rent, and I was the youngest in the show playing Tom Collins, which is hilarious. But it was the first time that she was like, I watched the show and forgot that you were my son.
Oh, greatest compliment ever, right?
Right. Right.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's the best thing you can hear. And I was just like,
Yeah.
okay. So I think her concern for me has always been more about like dealing with this business and
Yeah.
people. So she raised me very specifically to be able to deal. And because she's a again, she owns her own business. When I was a little boy in Tennessee, she owned her own business. She's an insurance underwriter. My aunt was the senior vice president of an international insurance company. These are women who travel the world and are in spaces where women aren't supposed to have power, but they
Right.
do. You know, going to Dubai, going to Abu Dhabi, and being the one to lead the meeting in a room full of men who, in their culture, in their country, that's not what you do. So like that's who I was raised by. And so they've instilled a lot of just, I would say, savviness inside of me because of their business acumen. And I think if anything, my mom was just more concerned of, she'll say it, about sharing me with the rest of the world and how the rest of the
And
world.
maybe that's part of why you're not, I'm taking liberties saying this, but not on social media to preserve yourself. Yeah. Keep,
Yeah.
keep the noise in the business out. I'm protecting myself. I'm protecting my mother's son by doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I heard you say in an interview was that you got off it in high school because it didn't feel healthy to you. And was that because of the effect it had on you, or was it because of the effect it had on what you saw people around you spiraling in with social
Both.
media? Yeah.
Both. Again, being raised by a single mom, we were in family therapy. I was in therapy from the time I can remember. So it's like 3 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm all about it, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
I
Because
actually
again,
wish it was part of school curriculum to have
yeah.
therapy right away. Yeah.
Yeah. Because we need to learn how to express ourselves to everybody, right? And that's something I love about my mom again, because, you know, here she was a woman in her mid 30s who had a daughter from her first marriage and a son from an oops, from having a good time in the clubs in Minnesota, and
Is that a thing? Are there clubs in Minnesota?
in the 90s. Oh yeah, Prince baby, I would die for you.
Oh yeah.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
He
yeah.
is from there. Not that I know anything about anything, but you go through that airport, they've got stores just dedicated to, do they still call him Prince, or is it the symbol? But anyway, the artist formerly known as Prince.
God,
Yes.
I
You
loved
can
him.
buy his merch at the airport.
So that was like my genesis was in that my mom would go out to that scene in Minneapolis, and that's where I was conceived and created and born, and then we moved to Chicago and then Tennessee. But having a blended family so young and having a family of all of different types in the 90s, my mom just needed the tools and support because again, she was a single mom trying to do this and starting a new company. Like it was just a good space for, I think, also my sister to start to try to express herself because it was an integral time in her life too, and we were all going through a lot separately as our own individual beings. And that's another thing I've always loved about my family is they recognize that we're all family, but that we're also all individuals.
Mm.
And we don't always have to like each other, but we always have to love each other. And that just created it was a great building block of communication that we still are working on as a family today. But because we had that, we have the tools now as adults to continue that work with each other on our own and separately.
So important. You know, it really is, because if you ever decide that you want to have children, so much healing has already been done in you and through you and with your family, that you'll be able to raise a child up even higher than you've been raised, which is so wonderful. When I was growing up, therapy was taboo. You know, you didn't go to couples counseling, you didn't go to therapy, you know, you something really wrong with you. And that the whole generation, I think, really suffered, and it made family dynamics that were really challenging for
Yeah.
anybody who is trying to grow and anybody who is trying to break out of nasty patterns. It becomes very challenging. So it's so great. They always say, heal the parent, heal the child, because your child literally will come from that DNA that's been healed and is healthy and doesn't look at when you said, I never looked at what I didn't have or what was broken. I looked at all that I did have. And that's the foundation of gratitude. So everything can come to you when you have that foundation, which is awesome.
I look at you on paper very unfairly when it's just, two-dimensional black and white on paper. But I look at your age and go, what has already been accomplished is like earth-shattering amazing. But I'm woo-woo. So I think this human has been here before. And then I see your sort of catalog of our classic musical theater. So, you look at you aesthetically, you couldn't be more present day. Truly, like you are the image of what we feel is hip now, edgy here, grounded, earthy, all of the good things that are present. But then I see you on stage in My Fair Lady, the way your posture is. As silly as this sounds, someone who wears like a formal morning coat, not everybody can pull that off. And yet somehow, with your stature, I don't know your exact height, but you're giving me well over 6'2" or 3", right?
4 3/4 without shoes. In shoes.
You are a tall being, my friend. Anyway, all is this to say, I think you've been here a couple times, and I don't know if you believe in that woo-woo, but
Have you ever read Many Lives, Many Masters?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. You have such an aura about you of you're ethereal, yet you're really in your body.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're like a tree.
It's really
you're
awesome
grounded and yet going upward like
He's
this.
a tree.
Those are things that I feel like, again, train like that, like perhaps there is some like natural quality to that, but like I've been training in the theater and in the arts for so long that like I think that it really, there's eventually a point where it just clicked.
Yeah. And so next time, God love Richie Rich, when you're on a red carpet and he's like, can you believe you're here? You need to say, yes, I can, because I've been working my ass off at it for 18 years. You know what I mean? Like there's something. I do too. His whole heart is just in this art form. He loves it so, so much. I'm going to name drop a little, but I also want to go back to your height. I met Jean Smart recently, and I beeline to her because I just think she's a remarkable actress. I love the many chapters that she has held in her career. And she's a tall drink of water too, right? She probably stands 5'9". And I looked eye to eye to her. I was like, I love that you're so tall. I said, I find it really difficult to be cast in television because of my stature, my height. And she goes, there are no tall leading men in television. I said, okay, what's the theory on that? She goes, because if they're over 6 foot, their parents nudge them or force them into sports. It's just the way it is. You have a tall son, then you better be a baseball player, a basketball player. You've got to do track and field in some way. Like you're going to pole vault to get your, school scholarship. They don't necessarily start.
That's really interesting. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, but it came out of her mouth. And I said, gosh, I know that's a generalization, but that's a pretty solid theory.
And so the kids that couldn't easily succeed and excel in the sports arena went into other arenas. That's interesting. I never even thought of that.
Maybe. Were sports a part of your curriculum or your life plan? Your whole life?
My grandfather was an athletic director at Bloomington North High School. So my mom was born in Seymour, Indiana, which is a small town. Like if you go there, you've stepped back in time. Yeah, it's a very small town in southern Indiana, and they moved to Bloomington, Indiana, and which is where Indiana University is. And my grandfather helped when there used to be one high school, then they split and they became two, and he was the first athletic director, and he was like the chair of the social studies department. And taught history and economics and political science. So, and he was a football coach, a basketball coach, and a tennis coach. So, and he had 3 girls, and I was the first boy born in the family since him. So I definitely played sports.
Yep. Is that
And
how
I
boxing came into your life as well?
no,
Yeah, I
actually,
wanted to ask you
boxing.
about that because my son's a boxer.
I love it.
Yeah.
I boxed a little bit in high school, but only as a supplement to football because
Okay.
I was a wide receiver, and so we would use boxing moves to get off the line. I have a very sports involved family. Like my mom and my aunts, my Grammy, they all love all sports.
Mm.
All sports. You should yeah. Anyways, it's great. It's wonderful. I love it. And like my grandma will sit and watch me play NBA 2K, and she'll coach me. Like, oh, you didn't. Like, it's hilarious.
Anyway, that's a great title for your
That's
memoirs
so
too.
funny.
Just keep it in the back of there. Get off the line.
Get off the line.
Great
Get off the
title.
line. You got to punch.
Yes.
Sometimes you got to get separation to get off the line, and so
Love
so that's where I was first introduced to boxing. But I don't have a meniscus in my left knee.
it. Oh, don't love that.
I don't love it either. But you know, it's been that way since I was 16. And yeah, when I got the role of Jordan Chase in Charmed, he said he was a boxer, and I was like, all right, well, I've never boxed, so and they put me in boxing classes 3 to 4 times a week anywhere I went. So if I was in California, I was boxing. If I was up in Vancouver, I was boxing. If I was here, I would go to Gleason's gym in Brooklyn.
Yes, producers pay for it. I love
exactly.
when that happens.
It was yeah, exactly. It was amazing. And then COVID, like I was getting into the best shape of my life. And then COVID
Crazy.
hit.
I almost signed my son up for a week-long summer program at Gleason's gym in Brooklyn this summer.
No.
He's so into it.
It's
You were
worth
going to
it.
say he was wicked good, huh? Your
He's
Boston was
wicked
about to
good.
come out.
He's
Yeah, he's
wicked
wicked
good.
good. Yeah.
Wicked.
Wicked good.
You're
He
from Boston.
he's only had I'm from Boston. I grew up in Boston, but then I lived in New York. Now we're back, and I raised my son here, and he does the best Boston accent in the world. But
I'm sorry for your loss tonight.
Are them fighting words? 'Cause-
No. That's the love. That's the love.
listen, I'm Sicilian, and I go to those boxing matches, and it all comes out. I am so Boston, like rip his head off. I'm like, I lose my mind. He's so into it, and it's been so good for him. He found it on his own, and it's this crazy story because I don't know if I've told this on the podcast before, but when he was 12, he came up to me and he was like, Mom, I want to be a boxer. I was like, okay. So I brought him to Title Gym, and he was like, no, Mom, I don't want to be a bored housewife boxer. I want to be a real boxer.
Excuse me.
Yeah, right. And he went to Lawrence, Mass, which is like tough town, found a gym and just started training and was so into it. But people ask me all the time, like, is it hard for you to watch him get in that ring? And I'm like, you know what? It's not because when someone finds a passion young, you have to put boundaries around it, but you have to let them know what that feels like, because that's going to serve him for the rest of his life. Anything that he that doesn't feel that passion for, he won't waste his time on, unless it's going to get him to a passion. But the crazy part was I was talking to my mom about it, and I said, I don't know where it came from. It's nuts. And she said, well, your great uncle was a champion boxer.
Mm.
And so talk about it being DNA or reincarnation or whatever it is. He even had the same name, Sabino, and my son is Seb. It's
That's
just it's crazy. And I love it so much. And I'm not a sports person, don't like sports, but now I'm like crazy sports mama.
How old is he? How old is your son?
He's 17. He'll be 18 this summer. Yeah.
Gleason's is a great gym. They train some amazing boxers, and it's like, it's real. Like it's real. They're intense. It's great. I had to kind of take a step away because I love playing basketball. I love playing football. I love being physical.
Yeah.
And I went to a boxing match in Vancouver that my trainer, his people were in. And that's where I was kind of getting to a point where I was like, if I'm going to keep doing this, I know I'm going to want to fight.
You're going to want to compete.
Yeah. And I know that in order to really compete, you have to be willing to kill and be killed.
That's right.
And I can't. So like I kind of had to step out of it because like I loved the training, and I could see how I was getting better, and I could feel my ego flaring up and wanting to.
Yeah.
Can I ask a real deep question?
Yeah.
Are you less fearful of being killed or less fearful of killing? What did it bring out?
I'm less fearful of being killed.
Uh-huh.
I'm more fearful of killing.
of that
Yeah.
switch going off and really wanting to
Yeah.
harm someone.
Yeah.
It's
Or
really
just
funny
harming
'cause-
and knowing what that feels like on the other side,
Yeah.
you know?
and
Yeah.
I've asked my son about that, like after they hugging each other and they're hanging out, and I'm like, how do you get in the ring with someone who you actually kind of like and do that? Because I don't think I could do that either. I don't
Yeah.
think I could like get in the ring with my friend, like try
I would beg to
hurt
differ.
each other. Really?
Ready
I
from
don't think I
not
could.
just personally, but I think as artists, the way we compartmentalize, right?
Huh?
We step on stage, we embody someone else.
Yeah.
Mm,
The words that are coming out of our mouth could cause harm. We can't necessarily judge or fix the flaws of whatever character that we then embody. I disagree with a lot of parts that I take on and the hurt that will come out and the person that's receiving. But there's an understanding, there's an agreement. So before before Sebastian and a friend step into the ring, there's already an agreement saying, we know what this is.
Yeah.
We are consenting individuals stepping into the sport. We as actors, same way. We have consented. We're going to play together on this boxing ring. And it may not be the physical aspect, but it could be the vocal, spiritual,
That's really
emotional
interesting,
aspect.
Steph. I never really thought of it that way. That's
And then we
really
walk away and we all, whether
love
you're
each
doing
other.
That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And that's how I feel about the sport of football. And that's what I say to people, like when they talk about the sport of football, because that was the one that I played through almost into college. I saw guys get their backs broken. I saw people get knocked out unconscious and have to get carted off the field in an ambulance. I've dislocated people's ribs. I've dislocated people's shoulders. I've broken people's collarbones. And the uncomfortable comfort of it is part of the game, is like you take a little bit of pride in doing that.
because you gave your all. You did
Yeah.
everything you had in you. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fucked up, but it's like it's part of it. Like you said, like you step onto the field and you've accepted that aspect of it. And that's actually something that in theater I wish more people understood, that what you just said. It's not my job to judge my character or any human. It's my job to be honest and seek the truth of
That's
my
right.
character and
embody.
and just accept that.
That's right. And I'm now going to present it, and the way you receive it truly has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you. Yeah.
And how you
it's-
receive it is colored with your own
life
prejudices
experiences.
and life experiences.
Yes, all of it. All of it. What has been the most physical role? So you're speaking about your sport life and all of sort of the physical manifestations and how exhausted you are. What's been the most physical theatrical role you've taken on?
I always try to bring a level of physicality to any role that I do, even if it's not like implicit. The one that I'm doing right now is honestly perhaps the greatest combination of everything.
Mhm.
Hamilton was incredibly physical.
Mhm.
All those damn stairs.
I mean, Lafayette coming up, coming down.
Yeah, you know. So like that was physical. That show pushed me in a way that I don't think many other shows can. I don't know, every show has its own challenges, but like that show was just a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Really?
A little bit crazy. 53 songs, 2 hours and 50 minutes,
Yeah.
nonstop, literally nonstop. And after a while, you're like, yeah, I coughed up blood one day and I was just like, what am I doing?
You're like, this isn't football. This isn't boxing. What's happening?
I would say the role that I'm doing right now is I'm sword fighting. It's a raked stage, which is never fun.
No.
It's really a good combination of athleticism and
Yeah, you pick up Pippa like she's a little leaf, like a little delicate flower leaf.
flower. She's wonderful. She's
I know.
delicate flower in the way that the strongest of delicate flowers
Of
are.
course, of course.
You know?
I do want to
Strong.
ask you though, I mean, so you're in this show that hasn't been revived for the last 30 years, and it has this it's newly reimagined by truly, I mean, Sorkin is amazing, right? So can we talk a little about the show and how it's reimagined? And
Yeah, it's a piece that I've been privileged enough to be working on for 4 years, which is
Wow.
wild. But it's the way I've been describing it to people is it's like if you view Camelot as a game of telephone, because the original Camelot to me is a memory play, even down to the magic. The magic isn't necessarily real in the original because it's a man on the eve of war trying to figure out how he got to this place of war. And then it goes back in time and he's a young man, and then it works back into, much like Phantom of the Opera. Again, to me, and I've said this about Phantom is a memory play. So it's not necessarily magical. It's all just someone's memory filling in the blanks of what they don't understand. Because it's told from the perspective of Raoul's memory. That's how I break things down. So when I broke down the original like that, and then you break down all the different stories of Camelot, and then we get to Aaron's version, I just view it as, okay, if something real happened, and then people tell the story of that thing, eventually magic is going to, eventually when people tell it, it's going to be fantastical. And that's kind of what Arthur says in this piece, is like, there are people out there in the kingdom who think that dragons are real and that I slew one. And then Merlin goes, it's a legend. And he's like, yeah, but like, it's not real. And Merlin's like, who cares if it's real? It helps you and our cause. Let the people believe whatever they want to believe. You know, it's like, you know, let them have that. And to me, that's what our Camelot kind of is. It's the distillation of that telephone story into like a reality of what could have actually happened as well. And obviously there's infinite possibilities as to what that can look like. We've had so many different scripts and versions of the script that often my mind gets jumbled with text that's not there anymore. And so
Ghosts. Yeah.
Exactly. It's just like, well, no, that one thing is just like, oh no, you weren't there for that. So it actually doesn't apply. But Bart does a really good job of, he and I had a discussion few weeks ago because I was just like, man, like I really miss this line. I really miss this line. I really miss this line. And he was like, yeah, like I totally understand. I get that. He was like, carry them with you, even though you don't say them. Always remember what's not there, but that what was, so that it somehow is still living in the performance.
Okay, that's so meta. To have the memory play, have the memories of the existing plays before that are just carried within to get you to the finest outcome. Exactly. And I think that's very true of all of us. You know, we tell our story, something happens. The first time we tell it, we kind of tell it and relive it in a way that affects us really deeply. And every time it comes out of our mouth after that, it morphs, it exaggerates, it's changed. Depending on who your audience is, you remove a little bit there and highlight a little bit more there until years later, you're like, I thought for sure that was the way it went down. And someone's like, no, girl, no, that's not the way it went down. And it's not done out of malice. It's not done out of manipulation. It's just like you said, over the course of playing telephone for so many years, even from first person accounts, the story 3 years from now is not the same story that was just told 3 years ago. Right. Yeah.
And the big thing with that too is like, what do you leave out of this story? And that's what I actually love about this production. To me, Morgan Le Fay is the most important character to me. And that's probably because I know actually where that comes from, because I was raised by a single mom and I understand how women are easily ostracized in society and viewed as crazy or not knowing, not being in their best facilities, when oftentimes, no, they're not the crazy one in the room. They're the ones.
They're the clear one.
Exactly. That's it, the perfect way to say it. And you know, there's a line in our version where Arthur says, I was staying the night at this house, and my cousin needed me the next morning to be his squire, and I forgot his sword. So I was running through the square and I pulled it from the stone, and then I was the king. Because he tells the story of how he, early in the play, of how he gets the sword out of the stone. And so he's like retelling that to Morgan, and she goes, I know the legend. And he's like, I didn't have the sword because I had left it at your house when I left here. And she's like, that part gets left out of the legend.
Right. That's the part. That part. Right
she's
there.
Like, yeah, that's the truth. There we go.
Right. Yeah.
People don't know that. She's like, but I've heard what you've been saying to people, and what you built this kingdom on is a complete and utter lie. And there's aspects of America, right, that to me are echoed in that. And so then it's like, in spite of that, how do we keep going? How do we keep building when all that what we're fighting for is meta, is just an idea? doesn't actually exist. It only
Right.
exists. It exists between the three of us right now.
Right.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
That's tough. That's a sobering, tough thing to face every
Well,
day.
what ends up happening is sometimes we tell our story so much, we become overly attached to our story,
That's
and we
right.
become defined by our story, when really the story isn't us. The story is something that happened to us. And
That's
that's a big difference. The you is the person who dealt with that, not the actual story. And that goes for individuals, it goes for countries, it goes for everything. It's like,
Right.
we can't be defined by the story. We have to be defined by how we handle what happened in that story.
Right. And that's a daily practice, because
Right.
what we're practicing every day is truly informing who we are the next day. And I find myself similarly, if you keep saying the same thing, that's the habit, that's the script. And then you start becoming
Yes.
the habit and the script. And you're like, how did I get here? I never
Yeah,
wanted
words are
to be this,
powerful.
to be. Yeah.
Words are powerful. You keep saying them, they're going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, and that's to speak to what you were talking about earlier about like taking on what we do, and
Right.
how it's dangerous. And
Mm.
I had that lesson doing Rent, and that to me is what craft is for. I have developed this phrase that craft is tethered to yourself, meaning like when we go and we play and we pretend to be these other people using these other words, you have to have a way to
Heather.
find yourself again after all of that,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
inevitable that you're going to get lost no matter how hard you try. So for me, the importance of craft comes in because it's what helps you get back to you.
Hmm.
And everyone's craft is different in that way. And I respect that a lot. But that's something I notice a lot of my TV and film friends don't necessarily, they'll have a hard time recognizing that.
Mm.
They'll be telling me what they're going through. And I'm like, yeah, but isn't your character going through that?
Mm.
You and your life aren't going through that. Like, that's what you're doing for your job. Everything you just described to me is literally everything that's in the script, and you're doing a great job at that. But like, what about your life? And that's like the difference of what we do, right? Because we explore life, we explore human beings, we explore why we do what we do.
Yeah. Because in yoga, we talk about the danger of repetitive thoughts, because if you keep replaying something in your mind, your body doesn't know that it's not actually happening. Your body still feels that stress. Your body still feels those emotions. It feels all those things. So if you don't have a solid craft and a solid knowledge of the self, it is easy to get lost. Yeah.
And that's right. It's like, that's where I say what we do is dangerous to a degree. Like, it is not for the faint-hearted.
No. But one has to ask themselves, am I running to something or am I running from something?
Mhm.
And if you're running to something, you will be rewarded. You will grow. You will find things. If you're running from something,
Yeah.
it's going to get you in
Yeah.
this industry, and it might eat you alive, because you cannot keep hiding in that way, because every costume you put on, or every review that comes at you, or every director that is telling you something different, you're shape-shifting, and shape-shifting is monstrously dangerous. Yeah.
And that's why, because that's how I also view it. Social media is just like a distraction for me in that way.
Mm.
Yeah.
But what a lot of what we do has become in the eyes of producers is the acting is gone, and more and more and more they believe that they just want to believe that what they're seeing in front of them is the person that
Yeah.
they're seeing
You're
in
the
front of them.
product. Yeah, the person is the product. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to complicate that and muddy that with social media, to me, is just an extension of work and
Yeah.
product. And because I don't do those things, I feel like I'm able to also have a bit more freedom in my life. And that comes from my mom being like, hey, being a businesswoman, being a boss, and being like, don't post on social media about how much you hate your job, maybe, because it can get you fired.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
understanding what workers' rights and companies' rights are, what the corporate world works like versus what individual rights are like, things as simple as that has helped. And not to be that guy, quite frankly, but I find like, if I'm going to have a real conversation with someone, I want it to be a real conversation.
Yeah.
I can't be confined to 150 characters or a picture, or like, I get the art aspect of it, and I admire people that can use social media as a platform for their art. I'm just not evolved to that point yet. But
And it's also hard to have one without the other, right? Because you, in order to get people in the seats in the theater, we have to get them hearing about the show and pique their interest about the show, and all that social media stuff does help do that. Because like even when you see the red carpets and stuff, I find that stuff makes me very super uncomfortable. I go around and I meet whoever on the other end because I just don't, it's a very uncomfortable feeling for me. But you understand why it has to be there.
Sure.
It has to
Sure.
be. So how do you balance all, I mean, right now with the Tony nomination, your first Tony nomination, it's crazy. Hubbub, you're at one thing and another thing. And how are you balancing all of that and staying grounded? It doesn't seem like it would be a big problem for you. You seem so grounded and an individual that you don't get easily
but nonetheless
swayed by all that.
challenging.
Yeah, sure. But
I mean, it's been fun because again, I'm not really inundated with. I don't really do the social media thing, and it's I have a YouTube page, but like that's really about it. And I don't know. I guess I just find balance because when I'm done with all that, all I do is come home and play video games. I might smoke a bowl every now and then. And
Fair enough.
I'll like talk to my family and connect with them. And I also work on other projects. Like I'm a producer and director as well, so. I kind of like the underground aspect. I've always admired that. That's what our business used to be. And
Right.
so I have always wanted to move through this business in that way because what it also does for my ego is it affirms that if I'm in a space that I deserve to be in that space and I don't have to waste time thinking I'm only here because of the amount of followers I have or anything like I don't feel that pressure because I'm not constantly looking at who's watching me. And I'm not constantly watching others. I do that enough on YouTube,
Right.
I do enough. I love YouTube. I'll go down the rabbit hole there, but like it helps my ego to know that
You're there for merit. You're
there for
based
the
on
right
merit.
reasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also if you don't hire me because I don't have a certain kind of following, that's actually great for me because it's telling me that
That's not the room you want to be in.
exactly.
Yeah,
So it's everybody wins. And I've been blessed enough to meet enough people who are cool with that. And on a business side of things, I'm not someone who you have to ever worry about, bringing down your production or anything like that. Because, and that's just, again, business because it's like, oh, he doesn't have social media. He'll just focus on the work. The drama I try to keep outside of, that's just not why I do this. And so I just found that helps. And it helps people be more real with me too. More and more we're in a day and age where it's like, if I'm not on social media, am I a real person? Which I think
It's
is
so bizarre.
fascinating and weird conversation to have with people.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
That's like a matrix conversation of which there are theories, right? Is it real? Are we real? What is all this?
Right now, like
That's
thank God for social media, like you said, because we would never be able to communicate in this way, and this is a for sure.
Right.
All right, we've arrived at the 5 questions, but just before, a word from our sponsors.
Okay, I juggle a lot. I mean, who doesn't? It's like Steph's always saying, the juggle is real, but our sponsor, Neuro Gum and Mints, is an antidote. It helps energize, calm, and focus you whenever you need it. They have these different formulas, Energy and Focus, which is formulated with natural caffeine and B vitamins, Health and Vitality formula, which is immune boosting, Calm and Clarity formula, which is developed with lots of vitamins and scientific things that I don't understand. I can't tell you about the science, but what I can tell you is that Neuro gives you a clean burst of energy whenever you need it without the jitters that coffee and energy drinks can give you. It was developed by former athletes who train at the highest levels. They created this clean, balanced energy that you can have anytime. And it tastes really good. There's like mint and cinnamon. It's delicious. There is one problem, and that is my teenage son. He walked into my office. He said, "Oh my God, you have Neuro," and he took it all. He's an athlete. He's really into this stuff. He took it. But luckily for me, there is a link below that gives Stages podcast members 20% off their order. It's tryneurogum.com/stages. Try NEURO gum.com/stages, or just click the link below. Stages podcast is sponsored by Strip Makeup. I tend not to be very complicated with skincare routines. Truly, if it's too many steps, you're going to lose me. Good news for me, I found Strip Makeup. Strip is the world's most advanced skincare forward cleanser. It removes makeup, but at the same time, it hydrates and balances and replenishes your skin. It doesn't prep your skin for skincare. It is the skincare. One step. It's made with 0 parabens and phthalates and doesn't have any of the 1,400 banned EU ingredients. Strip's skin perfecting formulas remove makeup, dirt, and oil while nourishing your face and delivering a dewy, hydrated look. Strip packs high-powered cleansing and makeup removing formulas into a variety of all these different kinds of systems. They have wipes or melts or jellies, so you can find the strip that feels just right for you. My favorite, the whipped coconut makeup remover. It's like fluffy and soft, like somebody whipped together pearls and silk and cotton balls or something. It's really fabulous and it smells so good. And it leaves my skin feeling really nourished. That one's my fave. So if you want to try it for yourself, go to stripyourmakeup.com/stages. There's a link below and you get 25% off when you use that link. So go to stripyourmakeup.com/stages or click the link below for 25% off and dewy looking skin. And now back to our episode.
If I were to go into your closet, is there a piece of clothing, or I just had a lisp, a piece of clothing, a garment, or anything that holds such memories you will never get rid of?
Yes, there is I can actually go get it. There's a Chitinji garment that I actually just had made into a dashiki. I got it in Malawi. This particular piece was woven in Tanzania, but I was in Malawi for a little under a month in college, just studying, and got one of these fabrics for each of the women in my family, because women use them to carry their children. And I gave a blue one to my Aunt Kathy, and she kept it in her blue room. And after she passed, I got it back because Camelot was the last show. She saw me in the gala performance 4 years ago, and then she passed a couple months later. And so I got that piece of fabric made into a piece of clothing that I could wear for opening night this year.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
So I'll never get rid of that for sure.
Oh. Yeah. All right. I want to go back to part of our conversation where we said you were a tree. If you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
Oh, I've not heard this question. I want to think.
I knew it just popped into my mind.
Okay, so only because it's a hilarious quote that me and my homie always say, I would say black pine from the high mountain. Move on. Black pine.
That sounds perfect.
Yes, and listeners, he might be referring to that bowl that he just spoke of. High mountain, everybody.
That's okay. In all honesty here.
All honesty. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
I don't know. I've always said I'm a vampire. So like, when I think of like superhuman, I think of like someone like Blade. I don't know if you know Blade.
No.
Wesley Snipes.
Oh, sure. I thought it was one of the games that you were referring to earlier. Gamer. No, Blade. Yes, with Wesley Snipes.
Where he's a day walker. He's half vampire, half. I think that was the reason why I liked him, because he's half and half. I'm half and half.
Yeah.
I think I can relate to that. But if I could have a superpower, what would it be? Time travel. Let's go time travel.
That was mine, Jordan. That was mine.
Okay. Did you have a childhood nickname? Who gave it to you, and what was it?
Oh, I've had several. JJ, Jordo, Jordy, J Dog, J Dan, Jordanska.
Okay, this one might be the outlier for you. Okay. But if you were a nail polish color, what would it be? And what's the cheeky little name?
I was thinking too literal, because I was like, well, I use onyx when I do paint my nails. But that's not
and we're back to black pine on High Mountain.
Exactly. Black pine on the High Mountain. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. Black pine from the High Mountain would be the cheeky.
Yeah. It has a slight smell where you get slightly lightheaded.
You have to really look at it. Okay, this makes so much sense. You have to really look at it like the universe, or like the feathers on a black chicken. It looks like black from a long ways away, but the more you look,
yes.
It's multicolored.
All the colors, yes.
Yeah. But like, it looks like it's black, but it's more.
Oh, I love it.
That would be it.
This has been such a pleasure. You are so special and so unique and such a joy, and I'm so happy to connect with you and meet you.
I'm glad that we were finally able to do this. I hope you're both well.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me the time.
Yeah, I understand. Please.
You blew up. a song that I've sung 1,000 times. And sure enough, I hemorrhaged within the first
Oh,
30
Jesus.
seconds of
Are you
singing
okay?
this. Yeah, no, I'm fine now. Thank you. It was
Oh,
scary. And I actually want to amplify it because I know it's such a stigma for singers to actually say that out loud. And
absolutely.
dancers are allowed to sprain their ankles and athletes are allowed to have injuries. And then singers,
Yeah.
somehow we just disappear for 10 days to 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then we come back. And yep, I was singing, I was in a recording studio singing songs I'd sung 1,000 times before. Nothing was strained, wasn't even a high note. Voice disappeared. Voice kept going down within the session. And I just shrugged it off and said, I'm sorry, everybody. I must be fatigued. But I knew something had gone wrong. And sure enough, my left vocal cord it had hemorrhaged and was just covered. So thank you for your grace in allowing us to reschedule. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to hide. I'm going to go ahead and tell people
Yeah.
it was a true vocal injury. And just like I would stub a finger and break a finger, it was quirky. It was fucking scary. I was scared. I'm going to be real honest. And I didn't say one word for 10 days and the body healed itself. And now I'm back in the running. I know.
I'm glad
But
that you're healed and feeling better. I can
thank
only
you.
imagine that because as singers, like that is a very scary thing. No,
I'm
thank you for having me and thank you for saying yes to me. It's truly an honor and a privilege to talk to the both of you. And
Thank you. All good things. Have a
Yeah.
beautiful next month.
Yes. Congratulations on everything.
Yeah,
Thank
Yeah.
truly. Well deserved. Now we talk about you. Bye. Peace.
Ah.
Bye.
And now, here's what struck a chord with us.
Oh my gosh.
Unexpected. So
Oh
charming.
my gosh. What?
So-
that is a unique
I-
and steady and
I
grounded.
don't believe we've had a being like him on
special.
this podcast.
He
Yeah.
is a special human.
Yeah.
Wow.
I
He's
bet
so
you
cool.
you as a yogi could have had many hours of conversations with him about whatever, centering yourself and how you decompress and being in touch with your body. And
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I've never seen Charmed. I didn't see him in Phantom. I didn't see the Hamilton that he was in, so I've never actually seen him perform. But I've heard him sing, just from YouTube videos and whatnot. And wow, like now I can't get to Camelot fast enough because I have to see him in this show.
correct. And I must say, when I spoke to his voice and how it fills a room and how it's tangible, yes, it's his instrument and his musicality, but I think it's coming from a whole different, deeper place. Like him
Yes.
expressing himself through voice is just an expression of the depth of who he is, the life that he's lived, all of the things that have comprised him as him,
Yeah, he's
and yet
awesome.
he stands, I'm not kidding, he was standing there we used to get them in being raised in Southern California, in Tijuana, Mexico. They were our beach cover-ups, right? And they're just these very easygoing, I don't even know, like a bathing suit cover-up. He's standing there for Lincoln Center in his authentic self, wearing that, opening and singing these classical songs that we've all heard, but coming from that vessel, I heard it differently. And
No, I'm a huge
it was
fan.
really shocking
I am a
and
massive
wonderfully
fan
so.
now. Just a massive fan. So just to change gears though, I want to talk, just to go back a little bit more about your hemorrhage, because that's a scary thing, right?
Yeah, people
and
don't talk about it. And I must admit, I'm not pretending to have this bravado of I'm going to amplify and make it well known. But I will say it happens to a lot of us. I think if we are in this industry long enough and you are singing for decades upon decades, I remember being told, hey, look, you sing 300 days out of the year, 350 days out of the year, an injury it's almost 100% injury
yeah, it's
rate.
bound to happen. And there's nothing to be
Yeah.
ashamed of. It's not a
No.
weakness. It's not,
No, and there's varying degrees. It could be swollen cords, it could be nodes, it could just be laryngitis.
Right.
But when you actually see blood, you start
Mm.
getting very scared because the
Sure.
muscle, the vocal cords themselves are so small, so tender, and what they do is kind of mammoth for such a tiny little muscle. And I had heard so many speak on it, but yet in quiet corners,
Mhm.
the vocal doctors have always said, I wish producers didn't think this was damaged goods. This is
Right.
truly a normal thing. We see patients in here that are the most beautiful voices you can think of 3 times a day with this injury, but nobody wants to speak on it or of it. And nobody wants to be the victim that it happened to.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, we've been really busy. Both Seb and I, our
Yeah.
stress levels have been high. I walked in, I was dry, took a big old glass of water. They were like, "You ready to go?" I said, "I feel ready to go." I'm telling you, I sang, "Don't tell me not to live, just sit and putter. Life's candy and the sun's a baller. Don't ring around a cloud to rain on my parade." Something disappeared. It was like a hiccup. And I just kept singing. Then texture came into my voice, and then it was only texture. And I thought, okay, let me get a lozenge. Let me just take another glass of water. And they were like, "Well, we like it. It doesn't necessarily sound like your voice, but personality's there. You were hitting all the notes." I said, "Let me give it another pass. I think there's a clearer pass in there." And it just kept getting worse.
Wow.
So Rob Berman was there, and so many others. There were so many other people there with their cell phones recording me, and it just, so that made
Added
it all,
pressure, added
yes,
stress.
yes. Oh, Mary Lee. So my belly, after that second time around, when it didn't get better, when I was on, taking lozenges and trying to clear my throat, and it wasn't getting better, my belly knew. And yet I pushed one more time. And I looked at Rob Berman, our musical director, oddly enough, for Into the Woods and for this project. And I said, "Hey, you all, I'm so sorry. I'm having a really vulnerable human moment, and I'm tired. And this is not coming out the way I want it to come out." And I'm kind of nodding at the producers, and, and I walked out of there, and I knew immediately. I started to cry, called my agents. I said, "I think I'm injured." Called my doctor. It was a Friday night.
Was your speaking voice affected? So when you were speaking,
my
could you
speaking
hear it?
voice came back, but when I was speaking, I could feel that there was a slight strain after the incident. It took a little more gas to make sound out of my voice.
And in
if that
this
makes
business,
sense.
you are so not allowed to have those moments. You're so
No.
not allowed to walk
No.
out of that room, because now it's like a black mark. She left her
Correct.
recording thing, and it's like, Jesus.
That's right. And
if you fell down and had broken your foot, they'd let you leave the
everybody
room.
would come to your aid and be calling a doctor for you. This, you kind of have to just, I did. I was very stoic. I was still smiling with my eyes, letting everybody know, "I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know
That's
why
so much
it's coming
pressure.
out this way." But, a recording that's going to last forever, I certainly didn't want to sound the sound I was producing.
Right.
Called the doctor. She said, "I'll see you tomorrow morning." And she said, "You have to stop talking, and I'll see you every other day to see how the progression is and to see how the bruise or the blood is being absorbed." And sorry if this is too graphic for our listeners, but that's how it was. So I didn't say a word. You're sitting with your thoughts.
Of
You're
course.
feeling less than. I'm praying to every cell and molecule. "Thank you. Please heal." This is my, not everything, but it's the way I express myself. And it's,
Yep.
I was nervous. I was scared.
Of course.
And so when I came
And I know
back,
other
I was
singers
just
that
grateful.
it's happened to that sing just as well as they ever sang.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then to tell people, I thought, gosh, should I hide it? And I was crafting the wording so creatively so as to not, put forward that I'm damaged goods. And I just thought, what am I doing? I'm literally contorting myself into a pretzel when being this sort of secretive is not helping anybody. Yes. Yes. So there you have it. And now I'm back to normal. And she looked at my chords. She's like, "They're beautiful. They're white. They're supple. They're reverberating at a perfect, pitch. You're no longer patient. Go." And then the very next day I was on stage singing Into the Woods going, "You're no longer a patient. You're no longer a patient. You're no longer a patient."
Yeah. You should do tapping. Do you know tapping? Have you ever done it?
Yes.
Yeah, do tapping with it. Just release it through tapping. Tapping's awesome. So there's actually an app you can download called the Tapping Solution. It's time to go. I love you. Okay, goodbye. I love you. Stages Podcast is produced by Stephanie J. Block and Mary Lee Fairbanks in association with iHeartRadio. It can be heard on the iHeartRadio podcast and iHeartRadio Broadway or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Please join our cast by signing up at stagespodcast.net, listening, sharing, and leaving a 5-star review. It all makes such a difference in getting the word out. Thanks for listening, and we will see you again soon.